Okay, I am so excited to be here. I just really, really love Reverend Rose. And and I want my husband David to give her a rose. I'm sure. I'm sure. You know, I am a 45-year in the medical profession person. Yes. I have been it and seen it all. I started out as a nurse because that's all doctors could do. And then I got a reading from one of the world's best astrologers, and she said, "You're supposed to be a neurosurgeon." And I believed her. But I figured it out. It wasn't knives I was going to use. It wasn't medicines I was going to use. It was the tools that I'm bringing to you today, the awareness of the tools of healing that are revolutionary. Some of them are space-age technologies, developed, in fact, in NASA's programs. The others are coming from my hillbilly Kentucky, down on your knees, pray every day, loving, faithful to God all my life. So I'm ready to launch my dream today here at this wonderful church. My husband and I are adventurers, and so rather than sit in a medical office every day tediously, you know what I mean, day after day after day, we decided that the whole world needed to know about what we're doing. Plus, we like to travel. So we have set as our goal to bring this awareness to Unity Church members because Unity has a consciousness advantage. This requires more of an expanded consciousness, an awareness of energy, an awareness of the Christ within, awareness that everything is energy. I'll give that a minute to sink in. Everything. That's massive, isn't it? So if everything is energy, what do you think is the best thing to heal an energy field that's out of balance, that's diseased? Energy. Would you sedate it or activate it? It's always the question, you see. And that's the art and science of healing. So we have a great job on this planet if we're to make the best use of our life force to determine in each moment what activates it when it needs to be activates it and sedates it when it needs to be sedated. It's the whole premise of Chinese medicine. So I want to answer the song about where did all the good people go. I want to answer that question. They went inside themselves, hiding. And saying that makes me feel sad because I've seen that all my life. That what has happened in generation after generation is that we have gotten ourselves more and more buried in the family patterns that weren't resolved, the toxins that weren't released, and the generational and past life issues that plug our bodies and diminish our energy fields. So I find that freeing the heart is one of our first and most valuable tasks. And so today in the workshop I'll be demonstrating the Heart Quest, which is a dramatic improvement over an EKG. You know why? It not only shows your reading of your heart, but it shows the stress level in your body and the functioning of your neurohormonal balancing system. Why would that be important? 90% of diseases are caused by stress. Do you want to know what your stress index is so you can eliminate 90% of the cause of disease? get it together, in other words? Well, I do. And using this technology, I took my biological age of 69 and changed it to 40. Proof. Yeah, it tells you your biological age. And mine was able to change by making the suggestions, taking the suggestions it showed and implementing them. So here we are. We're an energy field with issues. Everybody has issues. It's part of being on this planet. And so we have scars, physical scars from accidents and surgeries, and they block our energy flow. We have mental and emotional and past life issues and generational and toxins. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Well, it sounds very complex, but it is really very complex. And yet it's very simple. At the center of it all, we just have to remove everything that's between us and finding our heart and our love and our God within. You can do that, right? Especially if you know what's there and what needs to be removed. I take a symptom as God's message to us. An illness is a profound statement of what we need to adjust, remove, or adapt to in our life. I see it as a golden opportunity. So when I talk about moving mountains, I'm talking about the mountains of internal stored up garbage that we get as we travel this road. You know, I'm not talking about a very popular subject, am I? People don't like to hear about this. Yet, it's what is the cause of all diseases. So, you can either listen to me and do something about what's going on in you, or you will progress along the disease trail. In your own way, somehow you must find, and you can find, what's in between you and your optimal energy, glowing, radiant spirit. That's health, isn't it? That's all it is. So my first teacher was Jesus. I love Jesus. You know, and I took from him the example. Remember the Killing Jesus series that was put out by O'Reilly? Yeah, I could hardly stand to listen to that. I didn't know he suffered so much. And then I heard a YouTube by Michael Rice, and he said, you know what got Jesus able to come back into this lifetime and be what he was to us? It was that he accepted what was happening to him. He opened his heart to everything that was happening to him. In fact, he said, Father, forgive them. Oh, can you imagine that? And that is so big, isn't it? Really? For they know not what they do. And Charles Fillmore has been a guide for me in the development of the program. So what I do as a doctor is I combine basically Fillmore, Jesus, acupuncture, and the latest of all the technologies in the world. And I have about 5 programs that assess and analyze the body in ways that they've never, ever been analyzed before. To learn in 5 minutes what you could spend $30,000 and not find out. Do you think I'm telling the truth? Good. One person believes it. Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore are great models for discovering what's underneath, for, talking about what has to be moved out of the insides and cleaned out so that you can radiate health and vibrance. And I know you are aware of it, but he says you must forsake and refuse to cling to the old family patterns. So when, like you always say, I'm not going to do it like my mother did it. And even though you're trying to restrain yourself to not do it the way she did it, you're doing it the way she did it. Acceptance is the key, but a lot of times there's a lot of emotion and other wonderful things between us and acceptance. And that's what I specialize in, finding those subtle and sometimes big things. I actually did the sermon in Sarasota at the Unity Church. I talked about the faith and the power to heal yourself and all this, and a woman and her husband came up to me and said, my wife has cancer and she's been given 3 months to live, but after listening to your talk, well, what do you think? I said, what do you think? What, are you going to accept that diagnosis and die? She came to me for 2 sessions, found the cause of her cancer, and is still alive 7, 8 years later. I want to ignite your faith, all right? I want to ignite your passion to do something. I was voted one of the top 5 doctors in the Tampa Bay area by Industry Magazine based on patient polls of results. I am ruthless about getting the results. I can't stop myself. All disease, according to the many great teachers that I studied with all over the world, because I have one criteria for who I learn from, and that is, are they getting the results? And yay, good. Can you not see it? Oh, shucks. What am I going to do? Oh, this. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Put the computer here. How's that? Is that good? Okay, good. Thank you so much. That was very important. And so Dr. Hammer, an MD in Europe that I studied with, I'm just going to blow you away a minute, this man. He was a doctor who made a lot of money and made equipment, and he went to Italy to volunteer as a doctor to help the poor. And his son was murdered. And his wife died from the grief and trauma. And he got testicular cancer. Well, talk about God moving in strange and mysterious ways. He then discovered the cause of cancer. He took CT scans of the brain and found that when a trauma happened, it would register a scar in the brain, and that scar was actually visible on the CT scan. And when you remove the cause, the trauma, like when he flushed out of his consciousness his grief and his anger and his fear and his responsibility for his son's death, his testicular cancer went away. Yeah. So this man has been responsible for giving treatment to literally thousands of terminally ill cancer patients successfully. So I have his software that measures the scars in the brain to tell you what's out here now in these days, in the kind of age we're living in now. How quickly we can actually identify traumas that can cause any disease and where it is in the brain and what the trauma is. Because the fact is that all diseases have a trauma as a basis. There's his CT scan. Because the brain controls the function of the body and also the heart, both of them. The heart transmits the information. Many times, you know, dying from a heart attack is a very common thing among men. Isn't that sad? Because Women, they hurt and they cry, and you know what I'm saying, and they get it out. You know, they don't save things quite as well as men, because men have to be strong, you know, and they have to carry everything, and they carry it in their heart because they're good, you know. So it's very important to not have an annual physical EKG, but to have an annual emotional exam as to what's contributing to your stress, your anxiety, and your disease. Do you agree? Yeah. Hallelujah. Well, there's so many wonderful people in this world, you know, all over the world teaching about this, and they're calling it the tractor field. They're calling this information that's stored in us a tractor field information. Because you wonder sometimes why you keep marrying the same person. It's because it's in the attractor field. You want to know why you haven't reached a certain dream? It's because the attractor field's jammed up with the dream you think you don't want. So I had a man come in the other day, owner of many health spas and a very wonderful guy. When he was 3, well, his father left his mother when she was pregnant with him. Now that's a bummer, isn't it? That's a big one. But mother sent him away to live with father when he was 10 because she couldn't handle him. So that's a big time rejection for him from women. So guess what? His wife will not be intimate with him because his attractor field has a I'm rejected by the women in my life in it. Does that make sense? Whew, thank you. I got my point across. So an energy field is really our family tree. It's our family tree, you know. How great. I had a woman come in. My work is intense. I mean, it gets the job done. I'm telling you. I had a woman come in wheeling an oxygen tank, and she didn't want to take the mask off, right? But I suggested she could leave it very, very close. She did, and she dealt with a 9-generation ago pattern of her grandmother and walked out without her oxygen tank. You got to go in there like the neurosurgeon, you know what I'm saying? And not fool around. You can't fool around and listen to people's story for 3 or 4 or 5 years. You got to find out what's causing the problem and get to it, because most people don't have that much money to spend to fool around with some kind of therapy that's just talk about it. This is not talk about it. This is eliminate it, eradicate it, free it, let it go. That's what it is. So 95% of us is unconscious. That's the difficulty. I know that if you knew there was something in you that was not worth good for you, you wouldn't keep it, would you? You're just not stupid. You're unity people. And here's the thing, though. 95% of the unconscious means 95% of it's unconscious. What are you going to do with what you don't know about? People always say to me, I didn't know that. I'm going, no, that's why you're here. That's what I do. I find the unconscious. And you heal it. Together we heal you. So the problem is, as David Hawkins says in his Scale of Consciousness, is most of the world is vibrating. You know, his scale goes from 20 to 1,000. Most of the world are vibrating at 200. 500 is God and love. Most of the people are at 200. So everybody that comes in, I test them to see where they're vibrating and help them find out how to shift into at least 500, because that's where healing takes place. That's why they say love heals all. It's got enough energy It's got the vibration power. That's why they say, well, God is love, and God is the same vibration as love. So you want some, don't you? You want some more. So one of the doctors I studied with, he's so amazing. Bert Hellinger, constellation therapy. And honestly, I have had people heal their family just by recognizing what went wrong in the past and attending to it and resolving it and healing it by just recognizing. Because he says the secrets of the past that are unrevealed are the cause of most of our problems. Yeah. I'll say it another way. He was a priest. He went to Africa to save the natives. The natives taught him something. They sat around every night telling their children all the problems the families had had. And when they did that, the children healed, because they didn't have to take on the unsolved problems of their ancestors. Does that make sense? But what we do in America is we are very private and proud, in all countries, and we hide things, and we all have a lot of big things that have happened to us and to our ancestors. I know from which I speak, as one who has addressed them within myself and continue to address them within myself. And I know it's fun. You don't have to be scared of it. You don't have to worry about, are you going to succeed at it? You'll succeed. But the thing is, what I've done that's absolutely revolutionary is learn how to make this fun and nurturing and easy and wonderful, and at the same time get you to wherever you want to go. If it's a dream you want to fulfill that you haven't fulfilled, it's only because there's something in your attractor field. That's all it is, just something in your attractor field that is keeping you from it, and you don't even know what it is, and maybe you do. I told a lady, one of my clients is working on finding a soulmate. I love that. That's my favorite one, kind of project. And she has been horribly molested. So she's been voice printing, talking about these issues to a computer, and the computer sends vibrations into her to release the cause behind the molestation, the frequency, right? So the frequency is transformed by the computer into, called biofeedback process, putting it back into her to release that pattern of abuse. Is that wonderful? That is wonderful. Wow, and you can't believe how she's starting to glow. And I couldn't get her to change her diet, and I had her make a list of all the things she wanted from this man. Well, she figured she better lose weight if she was going to fill up this list. So she did. She changed her diet. So the point is, we have to find that thing within us that's going to motivate us to do the change that we need to do to turn our lives around, don't we? Sometimes it takes a big surgery, and then people say, oh, I got to do something different. Sometimes, you lose something important, but I've always had one prayer to God. God, please help me to know what I need to know about myself to make a change without having to suffer to be motivated. Because suffering can be a huge motivator, can't it? Whew. Oh, please. I'm not a big one for that. But there are tools on this planet now. I'm just going to tell you this, the final thing, because I see the time's up. The final thing, there are tools on this planet to heal everything. I use all of them to heal every single thing that is to be healed, and for you to come out of it more vibrant and alive and happy than you've ever been before. And I always, always know this one very important thing. There is within each of us a doctor. And my job, my only job as the doctor, is to empower you, or empower anyone who sees me, to be their own doctor. And that was Albert Schweitzer's philosophy, and Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. And so I want to just give you a minute to tune in to the greatest healer on this planet, would you? Because he lives in you. The spirit of the most dynamic energy is alive in you. It's your source, your Father who is in heaven. And you are heaven. Let your Father fill you with all of his heavenly light. Hallowed, hallowed be thy name, your name. Hallowed be your name, resonating with your Father. Let go of everything that's in the way of you knowing fully who you are. I mean fully, that you're perfect, that you're powerful, that you are love. You are love. I am love. We are love. We are filled in every cell in our body with 523 hertz, the energy of perfect love and harmony. The vehicle for this energy coming in to you is your breath. It's free. It's abundant. You don't have to wait in the doctor's office all day for it. You don't have to get a prescription for it. You just get it right now. It feeds you. It feeds you more than anything in the world. It's a gift from God. Doesn't that feel good? You can feel good anytime you want to. It's just a matter of practicing and allowing it. Developing a habit. Moving out of the pattern you're used to of stress and turmoil and suffering, and moving into a new pattern of just being love, light. And there's one key. It's acceptance of all there is in every moment with love. I know that each one of you are healed right now and filled with the loving spirit of your source. Amen.